Blog Talk Radio.
The show today, we're going to be having Will from WhatsUpInTheSky37. We're kind of winging it. And Will's been making a lot of great videos on the planet Mars. And the rover that's up there, Curiosity, and all of the fine pictures that it's been taking. So when exactly there, Will, did you start all this anyway?
Well, I started getting into the NASA pictures probably about 10 years ago, right when the internet started coming around. I was already, I'm an IT director for a health company, so I'm already been plugged into computers for a while. I'm 33 years old now, and it's just been a fascination of mine. Really, I started with looking into the moon. I wanted to find the most the best I could find in pictures of the moon. And back then, it was print. It was really the best you could find. And as it came along, I went ahead and we started sending rovers to Mars. We started sending the websites came, the internet speed got there, and now it's to the point where, like I said, I think I've got 420 videos we've made now over at my channel. Maybe even more than that I've got uploaded. About half of them are on Mars. I'd say probably at least a third of them are on. Well, more than that. Probably 300 out of the 400 are on Mars. You just can't help but get away from the subject. All the rovers that have been up there, Curiosity, Spirit, Opportunity, they're all just been wonderful. Sent us back some good stuff, and there's so much on these pictures too that it's hard to miss. That's how I really got into it. Just always been interested in space, always been interested in anomalies, always interested in things like is there life beyond our planet? Is there an afterlife here on Earth? Is there just anything paranormal? For a while there, I used to run a radio show with one of my ex-girlfriends, a really good friend of mine still, named Jill. It was called The Paranormal Spot, where we talked to people who would do ghost hunting and things like that. So I've always kind of been in that off-topic realm, that weird section of YouTube you get to when you find my videos or you find some of them. So that's what brought us to it, at least.
That's great. That's great, man. I tell you, yeah, we've been interested in all that stuff for quite a while ourselves. I like what you say when you're looking at your videos and you're describing what your interpretation of what you see. I think you use the phrase something. You see what you see, and I see what I see, and I really think that's fitting. I mean, that's I really like that phrase because there's so many people who want to debunk you and. Or they just cannot comprehend what they're looking at, and that's a good safety. Well, because a lot of this stuff I think is just obvious out there. I mean, it's just black and white. But just to give you an example, I had one coworker. I think it was you. I checked out quite a few videos up here. I think you might have put up the one with the. It was like a cross. That was like behind, almost looked like the building. I don't know if that was you or not, but
that was one of mine.
Yeah, and basically, I said that looks pretty obvious to me, and I showed it to one of my coworkers, and they said, no, I don't see any cross, and I said, you can't see that, and how did she phrase it? She actually phrased it like. I don't see any cross. I see an X. Okay, give me a break, right? She interpreted it as an X, and I mean, come on, that's just some semantics, just words. But yeah, so your catch-all phrase is pretty good. And of course, you're doing it all this time. I imagine you encountered quite a few people who don't agree with you and disagree with you, and basically, how do you handle all those folks?
Well, I'll tell you what, when you put yourself out there like I do, and I put my face on it, I put everything out there, my name, it comes to the point where I've gotten, you get your daily people who come in and just have something to say about your videos, and as long as they, something negative like, oh, that's just a rock, that's what they usually say. And I always say, I see what I see, you see what you see, because honestly, we all look at the world a little bit differently. We all have our different view. We all grew up in a different manner. We all have different educations. We all have different, so we see the world differently. And if we look at a cloud, it's kind of the same thing. And some of it gets so obvious, it's when they come in and they're really, you could tell there's 2 or 3 type of different people that do this. There's people who genuinely think that they're looking at rocks, and they say, this guy's bat crazy, and he belongs in a mental institution. He's seeing stuff, and that's not necessarily, it's probably because that's their paradigm. That's the way that's what they've learned. That there's nothing on Mars. It's a cold, dead planet. There's nothing on the moon. We haven't found life anywhere. It is what it is. And that's the paradigm they grew up in. So anything that questions that, makes people start thinking, especially with the way they treat, the whole subject when you get it on the mainstream media, just in publications and stuff, they treat you like a lunatic, And it's funny, some of the guys from the Moon Anomalies channel, they got the Lunatic Moon Anomalies channel on Facebook. They got a lot of great pictures on there, and it's funny that it's like that word lunatic. So I get that thrown at me a lot, but it's gotten to the point where I'll get phone calls in the middle of the night, and people will be like, I've had people call me up in the middle of the night and threaten me, say stuff to me, and these aren't like government agents. These are like punk kids from the internet, basically. They have nothing better to do, but they Google my name, they figure out, they can find my cell phone number. It's not hard to find anybody's information anymore. So if you're going to put yourself out there, I was like, hey, might as well put yourself out there. But I've just learned that I can I'll go to a lot of people share my videos, and I'll go and I'll read some people say ignorant stuff sometimes, and then you got people that see exactly what you see or see a portion of what you see, and they're supportive, and that's what keeps me going. I've got just over, I think, 11,000 subscribers now on YouTube, and those are the people that keep me going. The negative comments that come and go, they're actually kind of funny sometimes, because I kind of feel for some of the people caught in that paradigm. I was once there, where I couldn't even look outside the box. I couldn't imagine looking outside the box, whereas these people, a lot of them don't. And then you have your people that come, the other version of them, that's all they do. I mean, I don't think people swear to me they get paid to do it, or they, they're trolls, they're professional trolls. But if you go check, especially since they've done this whole Google's taken over and the Google Plus, and they've got all the different places, you basically can go to somebody's profile and see what they've been doing and commenting on. And you get these people who do the paste and copy, that's a rock, you're an idiot, you're stupid, to basically turn people off who come to your video and see that, and they think, well, that's stupid, I don't want to be thought of as stupid, or I don't want to think about that. So I don't know if they're really getting paid to do that. People have swore to me, there's people that get paid by different organizations, different, you name it. They're getting paid to go professionally troll the internet, which wouldn't surprise me. And they do come, and they say they hit up a lot of. There's a whole bunch of us doing these Mars videos now and Moon Anomaly videos, and they seem to really just go from one to the next and paste and copy those. Paste and copy, paste and copy, paste and copy. Change it up a little bit, but it's like they professionally disagree with me all day long, or disagree with my buddies that do it. It makes no sense other than they're doing it for an agenda or for a reason. They're not like the punk kids, I say, who will call you in the middle of the night and say, ha ha ha, go to the moon, or I had one guy call and threaten me. He said I was arguing with him. That's one thing I don't usually do, is argue with people online, because it's not really worth it. If they don't see my point, or if they don't see what I see, I label my channel entertainment for a reason. I'm trying to get all the pictures together that I possibly can to make the case that, okay, something's happened up on Mars, something's happened on the moon, there was some sort of life there at some time. It may not be there now, it may still be there. But that's the case I'm trying to make. And it'll never be a definitive case in the society we have, which I know that. But at least I can put as many things there as possible. So I can say, well, look, there's 400 videos. If you don't like this one, I'll paste and copy. Well, what about this one? And the people usually show their true colors, but...
I definitely, I know what you're talking about. I mean, what are your thoughts on, why doesn't NASA acknowledge some of this stuff? I mean, even the water, the one you had up the other day is pretty it's obvious. And, why don't they, what's your thoughts on why they, and like you refer to it, they kind of like to block it out there with pixels a whole lot, like anything that you might see that would really make everybody go, oh, man, this is it. And they kind of effectively wipe it out. Why do you think they're doing that?
Well, there's probably a bunch of different reasons why they're doing it. A lot of people go back to the Brookings report from the 60s, talked about the what would happen if we found extraterrestrial life somewhere else, that it could change the fabric of our society here, could really destroy things. I think a lot of it goes back to that, but a lot of it goes back to, and I get this is a big time, a lot of guys come here, and this is the argument they have. They say, well, why would NASA do this? Wouldn't they want all the funding in the world? Wouldn't they get more and more funding if they found water, if they found something? And to me, I don't think what we're doing now is kind of like a slow burn. I mean, they drove right by this place. Basically, we went, take Curiosity rover, we went up there to find if there was life in the past, water. We're running, water there, which is done. It's found it, and the people see it looks like there's, saw 7. It was 7:12.
Right.
You go back, check my video. In the first video I did, I just saw one little area of it. I mean, this stuff looked wet. I live by the beach. I have some places I go visit in the mountains. I know the different types of sands, what they look like. This stuff looks like wet sand. Now, if we made a big deal, let's see, I'd say right when we dropped Curiosity at the Gale Crater, I forget exactly where we were. I think we might have been at Yellowknife when we took the sample of it and said there's 2% water in this, and made a big deal out of it. 2% water, big deal. Look, there's water there. It's in the soil. Now they're blowing by this area that's got water dripping out of the rocks, out of the rock crevices. Right. And it makes no sense why they would do that. Otherwise, if they don't see it, they don't have to discuss it. They don't have to explain why the first, because it's going to be a lot more than 2%. And water. And if anything, you would want to know what that liquid is. Even if it was just darker sand, you would probably want to know. I mean, to any person, most people, like I said, the majority of people watch those videos, come back, and they say, yeah, that looks like water. That's some sort. If it's not, what makes you think it's not some other liquid? I'd be just as excited if it was another liquid. I'm not saying it has to be water. I'm not one to even think that life on other planets has to evolve like they did here on Earth, with the same compounds, same chemicals. But I'd seen water before, and that's one of those two videos. I just can't believe that. It's kind of, to me, it's treason.
Yeah, don't worry about that. That's my message indicator on the phone. I forgot to shut it off.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
And that's why I think it goes back to the disclosures on their terms, and I don't think there's ever going to be a full disclosure here in America or here at the world. It's going to come out through things like this. There's already kind of been a disclosure just by letting out some of these pictures. And we could talk a little bit about the obfuscation techniques that they do if you want. I've got a lot of videos on it. Throughout the pictures, you start noticing that the front of blocks get blurred out.
Right.
Very, very done meticulously with a square blur tool, almost like it's being done by the rover itself or by a piece of software doing it. Not actually, they put blind effects where you get parallel lines, things that would look to be, to a piece of software that was maybe looking these over, would look like some sort of civilization. They really edit those pictures. And it's gotten to the point where most people who watch maybe 10 or 15 of my videos can point it out themselves. I mean, I've got about probably 20 good people that send me. They look at these pictures all day long. They get it on there. I've put out videos how to get them on your, how to get them on your mobile phone, how to get them on your tablet, how to pull this stuff down right as they're coming out from NASA. And I get emails all day long from people who notice this stuff, who send me stuff, say, look at this, and then something will look one way, and then 2 days later in another picture it totally looks different. So something's being done, whether it's being done by a human hand over at NASA or JPL, or if it's being done by a piece of software. That I'm not sure, but that's up for debate. But the bottom line is, in my opinion, it's being done. And it's obviously hiding some of the more brazen, in-your-face things, that come down. And there's a lot of good ones out there.
Have you seen? Again, I look at a lot of these videos, not as meticulously as a lot of folks, but because basically I work full time, and as I've mentioned to you before, this is kind of like a hobby. But there's a lot of videos which seem to show the letter or videos or pictures that have, well, we would call it the letter S. And in fact, there was one video picture. If you turned it on its side, it was like 3 or 4 letters in a row, which were really pretty obvious. But that S, well, what I interpreted as a letter S, seems to be in a lot of pictures. Have you noticed those?
Yeah, and I actually had a really interesting conversation with somebody about this the other day. They were wondering if it was being put in from this S, and I think it was, and I know the exact video you were talking about, the picture you were talking about, where you flipped it on its side and it said like MS-51, and I mean it looked like it was chiseled into the stone there, or built out of something, or chiseled out of something right in the stone for you to see. And it makes you wonder, is that there, or is that somebody's tag? You know, I've got people that believe all different things that come to my channel, and that's what's great about having a YouTube and having a website that people can come and I don't really discriminate idea-wise. If you're courteous to my subscribers, if you're courteous to other people, as long as you're courteous and not calling names, I don't mind what you say, because some people think the rover is not even on Mars. You know, some people thought there are no rovers. They're busy. Yeah. So there's many people who think different things. So you got to wonder if this S keeps showing up everywhere. Is it in the software itself? Is it something like that? And I find it in different areas. I find it one day chiseled into the blocks, and then the next time it's something totally different, but it's the same shape. You know, it's not image artifacts. You know, I know image artifacts. I know them well. I've been using Photoshop and making websites and stuff. That's part of my job. You know, I'm a full-time employee. I work full-time too. This is a hobby for me as well. And I wish, sometimes there's a lot of people who do this full-time, that are out there on the main circuit, that get on coast to coast, that get on these shows, that they live off of this type of material. But those S's
that would be great.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. They do. It would be great. Yeah, I just wanted to interject. Basically, I know I sent you a couple of PDF books, but basically, I worked on the Apollo program. I worked for a subcontractor up in Vermont, and we manufactured the fuel gauges for the lunar landing module, and I was a quality control inspector. So what gets me, these folks that say, we have never even gone to the moon. I mean, you had a whole industry across the country that hundreds of thousands of people were working, and I really don't think that would be cost effective to just make up a story that we just went to the moon and put all those people to work, for no reason. If you get what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm absolutely with you, and that was a feat of a milestone for not just America but for the world. I mean, the technology and the manpower that went into it. Like you said, most of this stuff is contracted out to smaller companies because you can't do they can't do everything themselves. So when they have these, exactly, you're making the fuel gauges for the thing. So much work went into it. It really bugs me when I hear that people say that we weren't there at all or the missions never get done. But, to each their own. They have different information than I have. They've come up, reading different stuff. So I can't really, as long as they're coming at me with a courteous and a smile, and I'm willing to listen. And I've watched all those, debunking films of the moon, and nothing's really gotten to me where I say, oh, well, we didn't go to the moon. I mean, I feel like that's something that we absolutely. I was just over at the Air and Space Museum the other day, showing my friend from Russia. She's over here doing the work study program, and I've been showing her around. We finally got a chance to get down there, and we were looking at some of the things. They even had some of the Russian things there. It was like whole industry that time was like, let's get this thing, the moon. All right, well, first let's get it photographed. I mean, it was satellite after satellite after satellite that went up. To do reconnaissance, to find out where we're going to land. It was a lot of people working on it. So I'm totally with you on that when it comes to thinking that we definitely went, we were definitely there, and I don't know what we found when we were there. Yeah, I don't know if we just went there to bring home a bunch of lunar rocks, but either way, I know the missions did fly.
Yeah. And I'm interested, some of the astronauts actually, have you ever heard those tapes, they sound legitimate to me, of some of the, not the public ones, but the astronauts communicating with mission control, like on another channel. I mean, some of those tapes really sound quite like something they're seeing more than what they reveal to the public.
Yeah, and I know they had their code words and stuff like that too. That would be go to the other channel, say Santa Clauses and things like that, bogeys to something up there. A lot of that, I've actually, like I said, I've listened to a lot. Once you get into this type of research, most of us, it's funny how so many people I meet that email me or come to this, they've watched the same YouTube videos I have. They've read the same books. They're also in this research. They're also in this same line, and I've heard those before. And now, one thing I do know that anything can be fake nowadays, especially with technology the way it is. So I can't say with 100% that a lot of those are real, but some of them do sound very convincing, I must say. Not to give any specifics, but a lot of the astronauts themselves have their idea. Like Edgar Mitchell's one that comes out. He says he hasn't seen anything for himself, but he believes there's extraterrestrials, that there's past civilizations that have been here. Just in his own research and with talking to his buddies, he doesn't name names, but he's one of the people that do, and if you listen to even Buzz Aldrin kind of carefully when he talks, he seems to allude to it a lot. He talks a lot about the Phobos monolith and stuff like that in a lot of it. I think there was a Larry King clip that goes around on YouTube that had him talking about it, or CNN talking about, what about that monolith on Phobos? People want to know who put that there. He attributes it to God afterwards, but in a way that's saying, how'd that get there? We find those all over. We find them all over the solar system. We're not just talking Mars and the Moon. There's anomalies throughout. The Saturn, throughout the moons. So there's Jupiter's moons throughout. It's one place after another we look. Mercury's filled with them. I've got some other videos, which I try to keep. Like I said, Mars has really taken over just because the rovers have just sent back so much stuff, and it's in the news, and people are excited about it, to send any pictures. But I really set out to try and bring a place together where I could chronicle as many as I possibly can, the known ones out there too. Like I do videos on stuff that other people have found. And I give them full credit. I'm not taking anybody's credit. The way I see it is, if I see something on a picture, like the water picture, I got that from somebody else. They sent it to me. If I see it, you see it. We all kind of see it at the same time now. It's kind of everything's coming down. So I see it as a collective. I don't see it as one person has the torch and they found it. So it's definitely great.
No, basically, all those pictures are public information anyway. They're like library. I wouldn't see how anybody could actually, claim any kind of copyright claims on them, because NASA's putting them out there for the public. If you're making money on them, probably, but I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but anyway, I always the disclaimer I use on my videos when I do put them up, is that it's for educational purposes, and there's a whole paragraph on there that I usually insert into the comments along with where I got it, and definitely if I got it from some other person or a part of it or whatever, I give them credit. But like I said, I don't have much time for that right at the moment. But I was going to tell you the book that. I didn't send you this one, but I think it's number 3. Is Zachariah Sitchkin's. He talks about NASA, and he actually went and saw Werner von Braun and had a tour of NASA back in the, I guess, late 60s or early 70s. And he
very familiar with his work.
Pardon me?
Good. I said very familiar with his work.
Oh, okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it is, and basically, back then, everybody in NASA said he asked the director of NASA, who was going to, Zachariah Sitchkin asked von Braun when he thought or one of the directors, when he thought we would be at Mars. And so basically, no later than 1986, a man on Mars. So as you can see, a lot of different politics got involved here, and we're way behind schedule.
We really are, and that's publicly. You know, there's a lot of people say we're up there in the private. You know, that we send a lot more up there than we know about. You know, I think the director of JPL Skunk Works. You know, the big firms that deals with Boeing and deals with all these other big time defense contractors said something like we could take ET home now. You know, so I think the technologies are there, and we really have done ourselves injustice, especially because we've lost the drive for a lot of, like you were talking about, everybody worked towards Apollo. You know, those were the days. Now it's kind of lost, everything's kind of lost its luster. You know, we don't even have, right now, the Americans aren't even sending shuttles up anymore. You know, we're not doing anything except for very, very small research. And I hope to believe that there's something else going on behind the scenes, and I'm sure there is. We could do 5 hours on that. Yeah. Military, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty near winding down here. We got about 55 seconds. I really appreciate you being on the show today, Will, and everybody out there, please check out Will's WhatsUpInTheSky.com. And we'll get back with you. We'd like to have you on again on one of our other formats, and where we are not so time constrained, and we can operational wise, it'll be a little bit better.
Anytime, buddy. I know that we could fill up. I've got. Anytime you want to do something, we could do a top 10, top 5 anomaly video. Anytime you want me on, you just give me a call. Let me know what's up. You know how to get a hold of me. And it's WhatsUpInTheSky.com. Check it out.
All right. Take care, Will.
All right, take care.
So long.
Take care, Dave. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
I was the only one who switched sides.
I guess you never know where you're going to find your home.
This is the Lone Wolf signing off for the Lone Wolf. This is Dave, otherwise known as Liberty, signing off for the Lone Wolf. Y'all have a good one. Come back and see us.